Hello and welcome aboard today's 10 minutes of quickie. Woohoo, a 10-minute quickie. How's 10 minutes quickie? I guess in humanoid world that feels like forever. So welcome aboard, Danielle Tooley, my fellow Aussie CF from all the way down there in Victoria. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
From up here in Queensland. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Beautiful.
And our subject tonight is conversations with the universe, which is a topic that you chose, Danielle. So why this topic? What speaks to you about this?
Oh, well, I just always felt like I had a connection to the universe, right? Growing up, I would ask for things and then they would come into existence or they would actualize. And I always got told it was a coincidence and then I started to believe that too. Maybe it is a coincidence. So I was always in this, not that trusting of it. And anyway, fast forward, doing access consciousness and learning all the tools, these miracles and this magic with the universe kept showing up more and more frequently, faster, because I learnt to trust that co-creation with the universe that we all actually have. We have it. It's just that it's something that you need to build. Like, you need to build that muscle again, because as a kid, you definitely had it for sure. Like, just when you asked for something from your mom or your dad and they were like, no, you can't have that. And then all of a sudden your uncle would buy it for you or someone on the street would buy it for you. Actually, that just reminds me, when Jay, my son, who's now 13, when he was little, he kept saying to me, Mum, we're at a restaurant, I want a milkshake. I want a milkshake. And I kept saying, no, Jay, we're like still in the restaurant. Like, we'll get something later. And he's also lactose intolerant, so he couldn't have milk. But he was really adamant about it. Anyway, as this little toddler, like he would have been 3 or 4, he escapes from the restaurant that we were in. He goes down the road and we come out to try and find him, and he's sitting with these 2 Greek men with this huge milkshake, like this big, like in one of those silver canisters.
Yeah.
Very kind of disco 80s. And he's smiling, big beaming smile, drinking his milkshake. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, of course. And that's the magic that we be, and that co-creation that we have with the universe that we've stopped, I guess, along the way trusting. And so really what the access tools brought to me was learning to trust that, building that muscle up again, and knowing the universe has my back like all the time. And I've got another really funny story. I've got so many. Did you have something to say though? Because I know we've only got 10 minutes. I'm like,
oh no, I was just going to comment on, how when we're kids, all we do is ask. Everything's an ask. We're just asking all the time. Mom, what's this? What's that? Why? Why this? Why that? Can I have this? Mom? And then at some point, like you say, we suddenly start to switch that off. We're made wrong, we're judged, we're criticized, we're told no too many times, we make the no vital, and, we start to buy the no, and then we stop asking. So it's very much what I wanted to ask you was, so how do you get that muscle that you mentioned again? Like you're talking about building that muscle. So how have you built that muscle?
Well, I think really it started with, like the little things like car spaces. I have this point of view. I always get car spaces. Now, I live 5 minutes from the most busiest shopping centre in the Southern Hemisphere. It's huge. It's one of the biggest shopping centres in the Southern Hemisphere, and it's one of the busiest. And I always get a car park. It could be in the heat of like Christmas shopping, and I'll just know, okay, now I need to move, and there'll be cars everywhere, and I just go whoop, straight into the spot, do what I need to do, and then leave. And then, or I'll show up at the shopping centre and I'll go at the quietest time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no one here. And I'll say that to the shop assistant, and she'll be like, well, you should have been here 5 minutes earlier, Well, of course I wasn't, because, But I want to tell this story. This is really quite funny. I have a vegetable garden that I'm quite proud of during the summer period, and I grow tomatoes. But the last couple of years I've had these rats eating my tomatoes before I can even crop them. It's so devastating. And mainly because my next door neighbors, they used to have a cat, and the cat died. So as soon as the cat died, the rats started coming back and eating all the tomatoes. And one day I was weeding my garden, and my neighbor was, just over the fence, and he said, "Hey," and we started talking, and I said, "I miss your cat." And he's actually got a new cat, but the new cat stays inside. They don't let it go outside. I said, "I really miss your cat." And he goes, "Yeah, he died." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but he used to eat, the rats, and then I didn't have problems with my tomatoes, and, I'd love it if I could just have that back again." Anyway, 2 days later, I think I was watching a video or something on how cats, if they really like you and they feel that you're a part of the family, they'll catch something dead and they'll put it in your bed or put it in your bedroom or something like that. I watched this video, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's interesting." 2 days later, a couple of days later, after I've had this conversation with my neighbor and I've seen this video, no word of a lie, Viv, I walk out of my front door and there is a dead rat on my lawn, decapitated off the neck.
Surprise!
I was asking for I was asking for all of that. Oh, it was just so funny. And just that humor also that the universe has too.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And and just having that ask and then it just showing up. And I think the biggest thing about that muscle we were talking about earlier is really trusting that and not having an attachment to the outcome of how that's going to show up,
Mm. And because like you say, the universe has a wicked sense of humor. It never shows up how you think it's going to, or in the time. So, you ask the universe what time it is and it goes, "It's now."
Yeah.
I think we just get so attached to trying to control the universe, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
Well, I want this for next week, or I want this by tomorrow, or it's like, well, that always puts a limitation if you're putting a time on it, or like you say, having an expectation, or you're looking for a particular result, or for it to show up in a certain way. It's a surefire way to, kind of handicap what you're asking for showing up. Leave the space open as much as possible. And that's for me where the magic comes in. It's like, well, what would it take for this to show up? What would it be like to have this as part of my reality? And it really is like blowing the dandelion, where when you were kids, you'd get the dandelion, you'd blow and make a wish, and then you don't even think about it again.
Yeah. And what if it was your reality? It's not even like part of it. It's like how you exist. Like that's how I've made it for me now. This is how I exist in the world. I need your support right now, universe. That's what I actually ask. If I'm ever having an issue, like recently I had a sore throat and I was like, asking universe, can you support me with this? What questions can I ask? And it's that whole constant co-creation. So you're constantly in communication rather than having everything separate. And that's where you create greater. But and actually the other thing is it has saved me money and time before as well. Like recently I was in Bali and I was packing to go home and I had quite a bit of time actually. But all of a sudden I just got this, you need to move now, move. I was like, oh, okay, quick. So I grabbed all my bags, ran to the front, booked my Gojek. That's like an Uber over there, and jumped in the cab and got to the airport. I was standing in this line for an hour and a half, and there were people in that line that had missed their plane because they were on the plane before me. And I literally because you had to be 60 minutes before the time. I literally got to the check-in at 1 minute 2, and there was people behind me, missed their plane, had to pay $600 to catch the next flight. Some of them had connecting flights to Tasmania, so they were missing those two, had to get a a hotel in Melbourne, which was another expense, like all these things. And I'm just there going, thank you, universe, like for showing or sharing that information with me. And thank you, me, for listening, because that's what it's all about. The universe will show you, it will share with you information, whether it's just a quick, we're talking about quick, right? Quick download, like it's that quick and you have to be fast with it. And then you've got to act,
Do you also find that sometimes you'll, like it's kind of like I call it a whisper question. It's something that's way back at the back of your head and you don't really ask it, but you do ask it and it shows up. And then there's other times that you ask and ask and ask and ask and ask, and it's like, things don't turn up. So have you experienced that as well?
Yeah, where it's been a little bit longer and it could be a year and then it's shown up and it's like, well, the universe has had to rearrange things and take its time for you to meet people, get things organized, whatever it needs to do in the background, it's like the backstage goings on that you're not privy to.
Yeah.
You're not aware of, you're not privy to, you're just going on with your life. And that's really how you have to play this. Ask the question, get on with your life, make action steps, because that's so important too. And listen to each whisper. Yes, no, now, tomorrow, next week. Like it's really like that. And if you're always in the question with it, it will not lead you astray. Like and you can't make a mistake anyway. Honestly, like you could pick the wrong route. And I've done that before where my awareness has told me something. I've done the opposite and I've like, I knew that. I knew it. And I still went that way. But I'm not annoyed or pissed off with myself. I'm just like, I knew that. And it's just made me more aware of where my awareness is very acute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that to me is that muscle as well. This is another part of building the muscle. It's like you learn to listen, you learn to sense those whispers, you learn to, it's like you're translating a language almost, but you learn to become a lot more fluent in, oh, that's a yes, or that's lightness, or I need to move now, or and then there's times where it's like, damn it, I knew that and I didn't follow it. It's like, no judgment,
no
choice
judgment.
Choice creates awareness. And it's like, and when something does show up, it's like, how does it get any better than this? And what else is possible? Because that way you're acknowledging you've created something, you've co-created it with the universe has delivered. It's like, yes, more of this, please. That was really easy. So,
and keep being grateful, like when things do show up, and even if they're the smallest things, like say you're asking for money and you find $1 on the ground, like show gratitude. Like don't go, oh, well, it's only $1.
Yeah, or 5 cents.
But it's 5 cents, it's $1. It's what you asked for something, it showed up, but what else is around the corner?
Yeah, you've just made a profit.
Yeah, and I also I've had so many conversations with people about, and it's so inspiring, and they call it right place, right time. There's there's no coincidences. My friend was just telling me how this guy had made so much money through a hostel, because the guy was like, can you look after this hostel for me? All I need is like $1,000 a week, and whatever you pocket is yours. And he had absolutely no money to his name. And he ran this hostel for about 3 years and ended up buying his first house with it. But he was like in the right place at the right time. But he would have had that whisper, because I think he came from it, to come over to Australia at that time. And that's your co-creation of the universe. And I keep saying, and I want whoever's listening to acknowledge this, we all have this. This is not special to me. It's not special to Viv. It's not special to certain types of people. It is innate to all of us. It's just something we've forgotten, and we just have to remember again. Just remember, I've just got to remember that language again.
So what questions for the viewers, tool to leave you with, is what question can you ask that will generate profit for you right away?
Yeah,
profit can be everything. It's not just money. It can be a car space. It could be a milkshake. It could be anything that you like. So thank you, Danielle.
I was going to say, or universe, show me something beautiful today is one of my favorite ones.
And see what magic the universe delivers to your world. Thank you for joining me for a 10-minute quickie, and stay tuned for the next one. We're also going to be having some conversations around some phenomenal books that are changing a lot of people's lives. So keep your eyes and ears open for that, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Always with you, Viv.
Thank you, Danielle. Bye.